with the calling of the roll.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. There's been a move to dispense with the calling of the roll. Is there any second?
I second, Chairman.
Duly seconded. The calling of the roll is hereby dispensed with. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous minutes?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
There has been a move to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. So the motion is hereby carried. Comsec, please acknowledge the members present and also our resource and persons and guests.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. The following members are present today. Deputy Speaker Isidro Ungab, Deputy Speaker Arnolfo Arnie Teves Jr., Vice Chair Eddie Bong Plaza, and Vice Chair Frederick Shaw. For our resource persons, from the Philippine National Police, we have Police Brigadier General Dominic Bedia, of the Deputy Director of the Civil Security Group.
Good afternoon, sir.
Police Lieutenant Colonel Faith Kabibihan, also of the CSG. Police Brigadier General Romel Mitra of the Firearms and Explosives Office. And Police Senior Police Lieutenant Colonel Domar Tadeo of the FEO, and Police Senior Master Sergeant Raul Villarin for the PTC-4. From the Firearms and Ammunition Manufacturers Association of the Philippines, we have Ms. Gina Marie Angangco, the President. From the Association of Firearms and Ammunition Dealers, we have Mr. Hagan Alexander Tapasio and Attorney Conrad S. Tolentino.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
From the Philippine Shooters and Match Officers Confederation, we have Executive Director Joselito Nuevo. We also have Mr. Casimiro Villarosa, representing the Society of Practical and Defensive Shooters. And from the Gun Owners in Action, Attorney Rodrigo G. Moreno. That's all for now, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues, resource persons, and guests. Welcome to the meeting of the Committee on Public Order and Safety. This is our fourth meeting to discuss the substitute measure to several House bills seeking to amend certain provisions of the Public Act number 10591 or the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act. For our collective cognizance, let me give a brief recap of what transpired during our previous meeting held on March 9, 2021. In that meeting, this representation pushed for a much simpler substitute bill limiting the issues to the validity periods of the license to own and possess firearms or LTAP, the firearm registration, and the permit to carry firearm outside of residence or place of business. However, Deputy Speaker Arnie Teves Jr., one of the principal authors, maintained that the licenses should be merged into one single document. But however, on our latest conference, he agreed to a separate document for the three issues, like separate for a document for the LTAP, separate for the firearms, and separate document for the PTC. Okay. So in response to the concerns of the Philippine National Police regarding the protection of the public from the so-called irresponsible gun owners, DS Tebes underscored that based on the data from the PNP, less than 1% of registered firearms are involved in the gun crimes, meaning 99% of crimes are committed with loose firearms. The director of the Firearms and Explosives Office himself admitted during the meeting that there are currently around 1 million registered firearms and around 3 million loose firearms. Thus, we have come up with a revised substitute bill that allows gun owners to secure their LTAP and firearm registration with a 5-year or 10-year validity, reckoned from the birth date of the licensee, and extends the validity of the permit to carry to 2 years from date of application. The revised bill also mandates the FEO to issue only one card containing both the license and the firearm registration. This is important. This is a very important bill considering the proximity of the election period. So we have a very limited window of opportunity to act on this as we are all busy preparing for the elections. So again, I enjoin my colleagues to approve the substitute bill for purposes of expediting its passage in this 18th Congress. So maraming salamat po. Okay. We
Your
are
Honor.
now, yes, Comsec.
Sir, with your indulgence, may I just acknowledge the presence, sir, of Congresswoman Daria Loyola and Congressman Adrian Ebcas.
Okay. Thank you for your attendance, Congresswoman Loyola and Congressman Ebcas. Now, I assume that everyone has already read the substitute bill.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yeah, Honorable Tebes is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyway, in our earlier conference, I agreed to a compromise because initially I really wanted an option for lifetime validity of the license, even just for the collectors. But because not everybody is amenable, and I also requested for a single document. And during our conference, I was told that the PNP is not yet capable of doing so. I even offered to give them the technology for that for free. But if not, for now, I would like to manifest that I agree for the 5 to 10 years validity of the firearm license on the option of the licensee, then the 2-year PTC. But meron na akong huling request. Yung LTAP kasi, I wanted it wala na, but kung kailangan man yung LTAP, kahit i-lifetime na yung LTAP para hindi na i-renew. Hindi naman talaga dapat i-renew yun eh. Dahil sa kotse, wala namang license to own and possess cars, di ba? So sana kung payagan yun, okay na tayo.
Okay. Is there any... Is there any? Thank you, Congressman Tebes, and I think I share your sentiment regarding this particular matter, because once issued already and qualified to own and possess firearms, I guess what we need to do is just for a regular checking or periodic checking as to whether we are fit to own and possess firearms. Like, for example, a periodic neuropsychiatric exam, which can be conducted perhaps every 2 or 3 years. So that would ensure that the person issued with a license to own and possess firearms is fit really to own and possess firearms. Okay. So Honorable Tevez.
Ganito na lang, Mr. Chairman. Because, you know, doing those periodic tests, it's just like renewing also. So it just adds trabaho sa PNP natin at mabigat rin sa tao. Lagyan na lang natin ng polatilia that it is still revocable or until revoked. Your LTAP is valid lifetime until revoked. So if there's any question on your sanity or what, may magreklamo lang, then that's when you get a test. Para hindi lahat kailangan mag-undergo from time to time. Dahil if you look at statistics, ilang lang naman yung di ba? Yung taong sa Bisaya, tarong na yung nabuang. I mean, I don't know how to say. Ilan lang yung matino na nagiging buang in his lifetime, di ba? So if it's a sanity or that mental test, I doubt if anybody, I mean, if it's so much of the population change their mental state na from sane to insane in their lifetime. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Kong Tevez. Before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Congresswoman Princess Sakaluran and Congresswoman Ruth Hernandez. Thank you. Is there anybody who would wish to add some comments regarding this matter? So if there is none, then I would like to hear from the PNP your position on this proposal of Congressman Tevez. Anybody,
Sir,
please?
yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. This is Police Brigadier General Dominic Bidia, the Deputy Director of the CSG, Civil Security Group. Sir,
Please.
can I read my statement, sir, for the
Yes,
PNP?
please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. To the Chairman, Committee on Public Order and Safety of the House of Representatives, Honorable Narciso Bravo, sir, members of the committee, our stakeholders, other participants in the cyberspace, good afternoon. Your Honors, this is not yet the official stand or position of the PNP. We will submit the formal position paper of the PNP upon approval of the Chief PNP, our newly designated Chief PNP, Police General Junardo Carlos. Anyway, the revised substitute bill fixing the validity period of the license to own and possess firearm or LTOP from 2 years to 5 years or 10 years at the option of the applicant or licensee. The firearm registration from 4 years to 5 years or 10 years at the option of the licensee, as well as the permit to carry firearm outside residence or PTC4 from 1 year to 2 years. Are welcome developments to the PNP as the regulatory office and to our stakeholders in the ease of doing transactions with the government. The synchronization and lengthening of the validity period of the LTOP and firearm registration has always been the clamor of our stakeholders, the gun enthusiasts, because of the short validity of the LTOP. Extending the validity period of the option of the applicant or licensee also diminishes the impact of the pandemic by way of less exposures and less movements to our stakeholders. While the PNP fully supports the introduced bill, a counterpart bill of the Senate, authored by our former Chief PNP, Senator Bato de la Rosa, of fixing and synchronizing the validity period of LTAP and registration to 5 or 10 years, we believe that control mechanisms should be in place in between the 5 years or 10 years validity period. There should be drug testing and neuropsychiatric examinations and submission of police clearance as part of regulations. Please consider that this involves possession and or carrying of firearms, an instrument of violence to say it blatantly to check the well-being of the gun owner periodically. The PNP also supports the proposed 2 years validity of the permit to carry firearms in the issuance of one card or single document for the LTOP and firearm registration is likewise supported. So thank you, Your Honors, for giving the PNP the opportunity to share its views and comments on this important legislative measure. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you, General Bidea. I would like, before proceeding, I would like also to acknowledge the presence of Congressman Kabuchan. He is one of the principal authors of this particular bill. Now, isa-isahin na lang siguro natin yung issue, no? So, you have no problem with regard to, let's say, the 5 years and 10 years, subject to, is my understanding correct, periodic neuropsychiatric examination? Tama ba yon?
Yes, sir, including drug test. Sir.
Including drug test. So, how do you propose the neuropsychiatric exam and drug test to be conducted? Ano yan? Ilang taon? Every how many years?
Mr. Chair, Brigadier General Romel Mitra, sir, the Chief FPO.
Okay.
Sa ngayon po, sir, ang our LTAP, the conduct of drug test, neuro, and police clearance during the renewal is every 2 years, sir. With your proposal, sir, I believe, sir, the regular checking maybe every 3 years, sir?
Every 3 years. Okay, because
regular checking, sir.
okay, so kung every 3 years, so at least between the in between, no, the renewal or the validity of the LTAP and the firearms licenses, meron tayong ikakonduct na neuropsychiatric exam, no, at least one, no, during the validity period of 5 years. What about for like for example, kung meron tayong 10 years na option in accordance with our substitute bill, then there will be somehow mga two neuropsychiatric exam that can be conducted. So tama ba yon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What about yung issue of a lifetime LTAP? Anong masasabi niyo po doon? Kasi may proposal si Congressman Tebes na gawin na nating lifetime yung LTAP and then subject na lang to, let's say, your periodic in fact, object niya rin yung yung neuropsychiatric exam. But we will just throw the issue to the body to decide. So anyway, sa inyo, on the part of the PNP, what can you say about that?
Mr. Chair, we have an official stand signed by the former Chief PNP, General Sina, sir, with regards to the lifetime validity of LTAP. Option is registered on the proposal giving lifetime validity to license to own and possess firearm at the option of the applicant. Ownership and possession as well as carrying of firearm are only statutory privilege and based on the concept of self-defense. Moreover, firearm ownership is imbued with national security interests, thus limiting the possession subject to renewal is more in keeping with the privilege and on the issue of national security interests. That is the official stand, sir, of the PNP with regards to the issue of lifetime validity of LTAP. So we need, sir, the regular checking of the user, firearm owner, sir.
Okay, according to Congressman Tebes, yung pag-conduct natin ng periodic na neuropsychiatric exam is tantamount to like undergoing the same process as the renewal of the LTAP. So ano ang masasabi niyo? Kung halimbawa walang lifetime, like if it will be renewed in 2 years or in 5 years and in 10 years, siguro anong masasabi niyo? Kailangan pa ba yung periodic exam or yung sa renewal na lang para isang process lang parate sa renewal na lang? Like pag nag-renew ka in 5 years or in 10 years, para hindi na pabalik-balik din yung applicant or yung licensee on the process of conducting a neuropsychiatric exam or renewal of the license. Parang kasing yung ganun din, parang walang epekto, hindi rin maginhawa para sa applicant kung mag-undergo pa rin ng periodic. So anyway, yung opinion ninyo ang hihingi natin regarding that, plus yung ano ito, anyway, sige, ano muna natin, yung unahin na lang muna natin. Hindi kayo papayag, is that the same position, hindi kayo pumapayag or at least nagko-concord doon sa lifetime, doon lang kayo sa 5 years and 10 years na option. Is that
Mr.
clear?
Chairman?
Yes, Honorable Tebes.
Yeah, ganito na lang dahil kung wala rin mangyayari dito kung hindi sila papayag at mamatigas tayo, no? I will agree to a compromise. I hope the body is amenable. Okay na lang tayo dun sa 5 to 10 years yung LTAP, pero wala nang in-between na gagawin. No? Wala nang in-between na neuropsychiatric. Malinis na natin 5 to 10 years on the option of the licensee. Okay na yon para matapos na to because ang dami rin naghihintay dito na bill. Last time nag-usap kami ni Senator Bato, gusto na rin nila matapos at si Senator Migs, no? So para matapos na to, let's have a compromise 5 to 10 years pero wala nang in between.
Okay.
Sabay, yung drug test, meron na ako concern sa drug test. You all know I was a former drug addict. It only takes 4 days to clean up yourself. Ang request ko lang sa PNP, kailan nyo gagawin yung drug test? Because if the drug test is done on a certain date, definitely ilan lang yung makukuha yung positive or baka nga wala. Same with what happened to the drug test on the application of driver's license. Tinanggal na nga lang yun dahil useless eh. The positivity rate was very low because if you were a drug addict, specifically a shabu addict, magpahinga ka lang ng 4 na araw, on the 5th day you would already be definitely negative. So, ewan ko kung merong may alam dyan, but definitely I know it because I used to be a drug addict. So, sinasabi ko lang yun na baka naglagay lang tayo ng testing na wala namang mangyayari. I'm doing this to help everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The PNP may please respond to the issue. Yung sa drug testing, okay lang, paano ba yun?
Mr. Chair, again, sir, sometimes these processes, sir, are for the perspective of the regulatory office, just like the FEO. These processes are tools, sir, to regulate and to check yung ating mga firearms holders, sir. That's why yung position po ng PNP is to have this regular checking of the capacity ng ating firearm holder.
Okay,
so
pero
this is tool, sir, of the regulatory office.
Okay, teka. So, unahin natin yun sa yung 5 years, 10 years, okay na yun, Kong Tebes, no? But against ka doon sa may periodic pang neuropsychiatric exam. Now, what can you say about that? Pwede bang yung neuropsychiatric exam natin, isang beses na lang? Only during the application for LTAP,
Yes.
renewal of LTAP?
Yes, tama. Dapat ganun. Para, what's the use of the sorry, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes, sige, please go ahead.
Ganito kasi, what's the use of the validity if in between may testing pa, di ba? Ginawa pa natin valid. Gawin na lang natin 3 years kung ayaw nyong, kung kailangan pa i-testing. Anyway, andali naman ito i-check eh. Kung meron talagang magreklamo na nabuang yung tao na yan, tsaka mo ipa-neuropsychiatric in between. But otherwise, make it an exception rather than the rule. Because again, minority naman yung cases na ganyan. Same as there's only less than 1% of crimes committed with licensed firearms. So it's
low risk. Low risk.
Oh, it's a very low risk. Sana lang magkaintindihan na tayo para matapos na to. Dahil kung lahat tayo magmamatigasan, we take our stand, you take your stand, walang mangyayari dito, di ba? I already gave a compromise. I hope the PNP is willing to give the compromise too.
Anyway, the body will decide later on. Is there any member who would like to wish to make a comment regarding this matter?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Honorable
Kabutian is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I share the sentiment of Deputy Speaker Teves, Mr. Chair, that the conduct of the periodic neuropsychiatric exam and drug test during the validity period is not anymore necessary. Kasi binigyan na natin sila ng license eh. So, yung sa renewal po ulit, doon na po ulit kailangan yung exam. Not in between or not once during the validity period. Kasi we are making it, pinahihirapan po natin yung it's like applying ulit for a renewal. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kabutian. To the PNP, ano po masasabi nyo dyan? Parang ang general sentiment na yata ng body, ng mga members ng committee, is to do away with the periodic examination and do it during the application na lang or renewal of the license to own firearms and possess firearms. May please the PNP respond.
Mr. Chair, we will consult our leaders with regards to the stand of the PNP, considering yung concern po ng ating mga lawmakers to totally drop the drug test, neuro. So,
yung periodic lang naman yung periodic lang, like for example yung in between the validity period, kasi it must be required on the application and on the renewal of the LTAP para clear lang tayo, but nothing in between already. So baka pwede na yun siguro. Anyway, subject for revocation naman yung license to own. If there is anybody who would report later on that the licensee is violating or is already suffering from a neuropsychiatric problem. What can you say about that? Pwede na ba yan? Pwede na yan siguro. Pwede na for the meantime.
Sir, our formal position paper will be submitted, sir, immediately, sir, after consulting our leader, sir, with regards to your
remember please that we have a very limited time, no? So we need to approve this so that this can be calendared already for plenary debate.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Ebkas.
I would like to ask from the resource person to whom he is talking about leaders. I believe that this bill and topic, matagal na ito pinag-usapan. Ano bang sinasabi niyan yung leaders? Sino ba yung mga leaders niyan? Is he talking that they are not the right person to attend on this meeting?
Okay, the PNP may respond.
Mr. Chair, as the The opening statement, sir, this is not the official stand of the PNP, sir, as regards to the validity o yung ano, sir, yung concern nga, sir, na do away with the drug test and neuro, sir. We have to consult our chief PNP, sir, and we need the approval of the chief PNP, sir. So,
When
para
can we
maging
have-
the PNP, sir.
When can we have your official position on this matter?
After this meeting, sir, we will make the necessary ano, sir, proposal to the chief PNP. And once approved, sir, immediately we will send it to the honorable committee, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Can we give them a timeline or next week? Because according to him, after this meeting, can we hear from him the timeline? Is it next week or next month?
Okay, Honorable General Mitra, please respond.
Next week, sir, tatrabuhin ko po, sir, na ano, mapabilis yung ano, yung approval ni Chief PNP, sir. Personally, sir, I will give it to the Chief PNP, sir, for his approval. Yung official position paper of the PNP. The propose. May proposal, sir. I will give it to personally to the Chief PNP, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, resource person.
Thank you. Take note, COMSEC, no, 1 week from now, the PNP will submit its official position paper regarding the issue.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Representative Kabutian, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Congressman Kabutian is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, ulitin ko lang po, no? I just want to reiterate and make it clear. Now, we are not doing away with the conduct of the neuropsychiatric exam and drug test. Ano po? Gagawin pa rin 'yon sa application and renewal. Baka ho kasi ma-confuse tayo doon sa na we are doing away with that. We are not. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Take note, COMSEC, no, that there is
Your Honor.
that it is required, no, in the application and renewal, but nothing more in between, no, during the validity period of such license.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, Deputy Speaker Ungab would like to be recognized.
Director Ungab, Director. Congressman Ungab, yes, Ungab is recognized.
Mayong hapon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. First, parliamentary inquiry before I will make manifestation. May I know if the committee is going to pass the substitute bill this afternoon, or are we still going to wait for the official comments from the FEO and the PNP regarding the pending matter at hand with regard to the validity and the submission of those requirements as the test, psychiatric test ba yun, at saka yung drug test? Are we going to, Mr. Chairman, are we going to pass this today or perhaps next week pa?
It appears that there is a need for another committee hearing on this matter, no, because it is also very vital that we know the position of the PNP as regards our proposals. So anyway, just to discuss, and finalize discussion on all matters that is now before us. So hindi lang naman kasi yung yung mga side issues ang importante. So we are now actually final on the validity of period, which is 5 years and 10 years at the option of the licensee. What we are actually in conflict, no, is with regard to the periodic neuropsychiatric exam and drug testing that can be conducted in between the validity periods. So yun lang naman yung issue. Now the second, there are other issues like, for example, yung if the license to own and possess and the firearms license can be, let's say, included already in one a single document. So kung capable ba yung PNP natin to be able to put that into one document, yung license to own and the firearms license of several firearms in accordance with the categories, no, of the firearm holders. So meron pang isa, o yun sa shooters, na nagre-request din sila na kung po pwede ma-exempt na sila from the yung threat assessment certificate, which is also one of the issues. So sa ngayon, to answer your question, we hope to finish all the mga controversial issues, and then hopefully that by next meeting wala na tayong masyadong discussion, but just to approve the substitute bill and the corresponding committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, for my manifestation, my first manifestation, I joined Deputy Speaker Teves and Representative Cabochan in their proposal to make the requirements together with the renewal. So it's really very hard to have to submit requirements when, for example, the validity is already for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, and in between, you ask the licensee or those persons who were given the LTOP or the permit to carry to submit some more requirements. So mas maganda kung every time this permit or license is renewed, yun na yun, sabay-sabay na lahat. So every 5 years, so every 5 years din yung submission ng mga requirements. Well, for many of us here who are already experienced gun owners and experienced shooters, nakikita naman natin na almost all the law-abiding gun holders sumusunod naman talaga sa patakaran, sumusunod sa policies, sumusunod sa whatever requirements na ini-impose ng ating PNP at sa ating sa ating I would say the laws of the land, no? Me, for example, have been a gun holder and a license owner for about 30 years already, and I religiously renew my firearms license, no, on time. Yun lang ang pinakareklamo ko lang, yung time na there was I can't remember a few years ago na delayed na masyado yung issuance no firearms license cards, no. But I'm very sure that this will be a very welcome move to all the gun enthusiasts, the gun holders, extending the validity of the firearms license of the LTOF and probably the permit to carry. There's one more manifestation, Mr. Chairman, that I would like to bring to the attention of this committee and perhaps to the PNP FEO. I am also a reserve officer of the AFP, and the reservists are really very helpful as multipliers in the armed forces of the Philippines. And for those, many of us here who have joined the AFP before or are retirees or are reservists, we all know that the requirements of the reservists are almost equal and the same as the requirements for admission or for promotion in the regular AFP. The only difference is that the reservists do not receive their salaries. My point, Mr. Chairman, is that yung pinakareklamo ng mga reservists doon sa field is that yung certification in order to get a license or an LTOP na isa siyang reservist will come from J9, which is in the GHQ in Camp Aguinaldo. will it be possible? I don't know if this will be included in the law or maybe doon na lang sa IRR. Kung pwede, doon na sa regional commands or the major commands, like for example, East Mincom, West Mincom, or the NCR command, yung mga retirees and reservist affairs na lang doon siguro, because if pupunta pa sa GHQ ng J9, ang haba-haba ng proseso. I'm just bringing this matter because most reserve officers bring their own licensed personnel firearm. Hindi naman government issue yung mga dinadala ng ating mga reserve officers. And one way of giving them incentives or helping them, because they are really helping the government as a multiplier force. For one, if you can, I've been with the reserve force medyo matagal-tagal na. Yung during the whole pandemic, yung nagbabantay doon sa amin sa Davao Airport are mostly reservists, no? Hindi siguro isa o dalawang active lang, mostly reservists, pero hindi mo malalaman kasi our reserve officers are in uniform. So I'm just bringing this to the attention of the committee and to the PNP FEO na kung pwede we decentralize the I would say the approval or the recommendation na reserve officers doon na sa field level, kung pwede sa regional command or sa division, let's say Eastern Mindanao Command, Western Mindanao Command, or the level na hindi na pupunta dito sa GHQ sa Camp Aguinaldo. So those are my manifestations, Mr. Chairman. I hope that it will be included as inputs in this committee's recommendations as well as to the PNP. Daghang salamat, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, DS Ungab. May the PNP respond to this particular issue raised by Deputy Speaker Ungab?
Opo, yes, sir, Mr. Chair. The observation of the Honorable Congressman Isidro Ungab is well taken, sir. We will bring that to the attention of those members who will members of the group who will have the IRR, sir.
So it is possible that this matter can be addressed in the IRR?
Yes, sir.
There is no need to include this in the law or in the bill. No, sa IRR na lang, no. Hindi na natin i-include dito. Pwede nang ma-address yung problema.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's go now to the next issue. The issue is to whether we can put in a single document, no, the license to own and possess firearms at the same time yung firearms licenses. Can we do that? I mean, I'm addressing the question to the PNP.
Mr. Chair, sa ngayon po, hindi po natin, wala pa tayong capacity to do that. Merging the LTAP and the firearm registration. And I believe, sir, we believe, sir, that the LTAP, the concerns of the LTAP is the gun owner, while the firearm registration is the gun itself. So these two are different things. So maybe it would be better that they have separate cards. We have separate cards for these two, the license to own and the firearm registration. While in the firearm registration, we believe it is possible, sir, if you have 5 or 10 firearms, you can only issue, the FEO can issue 1 card. So we need to upgrade our system, sir. I believe we have to, the card itself should be upgraded, sir, so that we can accommodate that kind of system, sir.
So just to be clear, no, it is impossible for the two documents to be merged into one document, into one card only. Hindi po pwede. Hindi po pwede. In so far as you are concerned.
Mr. Chair, hindi po pwede kasi yung LTAP po, sir, have different requirements compared to gun license, sir.
Oh, okay. Pero pwede yung yung renewal and expiry date isa lang during on the birth date of the licensee. Ibig sabihin, lahat 'yon isang process na lang. So bakit hindi natin ihiwalay pa natin kung isang process din lang? Diba?
Mr. Chair, yung pong processing ng LTAP, we need sa renewal, sir, we need at least 3 requirements: the drug test, the neuro, and the police clearance. However, doon po sa firearm registration, ang nadidetermine lang natin, sir, yung status of the firearm. Kung whether na minsan kasi, sir, nawawala yung firearm, so we need to upgrade the status na. So yun ang concern natin, sir, is at yung firearm talaga, sir. So magkaiba po yung sitwasyon.
So magkaiba ng proseso. Iba yung
Yes,
proseso dun sa LTAP, iba rin yung proseso sa firearms licenses. But
Yes, sir. Opo, sir.
just the same, they will expire, both of them will expire on the birth date. So isang araw mo lang ipoprocess yung mga yon. I mean, yung validity ng mga yon.
Opo, sir, pwede po yun, sir. Kaya po nung ating mga
Kaya ba ng
IT.
sistema? O kaya ng sistema nyo para pagpunta, like for example, pagpunta sa Krami, pag-renew ng LTAP, at the same time, magre-renew rin ng firearms licenses para hindi na pabalik-balik. Sampuntahan na lang. Kaya ba
Yes,
natin, kayang gawin natin yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Matter of lang yan, sir, yung sa programming ng ating online system.
Okay, so clear na yun. Hindi lang po pwede na isang document, pero pwedeng isahan na lang yung processing.
Yes, sir. Pwede
Okay.
po, sir.
And then, yung kung halimbawa marami kang firearms, it can be contained only in one document. Unlike at present, where every firearm should be issued by a separate individual license or card. No? Sa ngayon kasi, kung 15 yung firearms mo, 15 rin yung ini-issue sa'yo na firearms license. So under this bill, ang purpose natin is isa na lang. Isang firearm document, isang document for all the firearms. Malinaw na yon, malinaw na sa atin.
Opo, sir. Mr. Chair, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any comment on this from the members?
Mr. Chairman?
Honorable Teves?
Sana meron naman yata magaling na IT yung PNP, no? Patanong na lang because I don't see any problem with putting it in one card. Though in the back end there may be separate documents, but printing it on one card, I don't think it will be a problem because it's just a simple, even just like a serial number of your LTAP to be printed on the firearm license card. So kung nandun na yung kung nandun na yung parang serial number ng LTAP mo, ilagay lang doon sa firearm license card. I don't think you need to carry a separate card just only to indicate that you have an LTAP. Parang lang to, ako rin kasi yung isang principal author ng national ID natin, di ba? Nagawa nga natin isang ID lang para sa lahat. Kasama na yan. Pwede nga wala ng ID yung national ID natin, pwede nga thumb mark lang. So the Philippine government already has that capacity. So tingin ko kaya na sila tulungan ng IT nila na malagay lang sa isang card para isang printing lang. Anyway, it's just sa back end, iba yung dokumento. Pag tinignan mo, yung serial number, iba pa rin yung separate yung documentation yan sa back end, but sa card, pwedeng doon na lang i-print sa isang card yung lahat ng Just the same with the Phil ID. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. From the PNP, pwede kaya yun? Parang nakikita ko nga, like for example, kung yung serial number ng LTAP, yun na lang ang ilagay doon sa one card bearing all the firearms licenses and details. Parang dagdag na lang doon yung serial number ng LTAP. Pwede ba yun?
Chairman?
Yes. I uh, I would also like to recognize and acknowledge the presence of our Minority Leader Caraps Paduano.
Thank you,
Yes,
Chairman.
yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, just reaction lang dun sa separate and one card, no? We're talking about the LTOP and the firearms legislation. Now, ang ano ko lang, in a practical way, ang problema kasi, Mr. Chairman, and I think that's also the concern of the PNP. Kasi Mr. Chairman, pag isang card lang, LTOP at saka yung firearms, kunwari may 7 firearms ka and you donate or you sell the 2 firearms or all the firearms and you want to buy a new one, yun yung problema. Kasi hindi naman pwede na ipadala mo pati LTOP mo doon sa bibili. He has to get a new LTOP card. And kung may LTOP card ka, pwedeng hindi ka na muna mag-apply. Then you purchase another gun. Then i-apply mo yung firearms registration ng new gun mo. So you still have the LTOP card while your firearms registration i-submit mo dun sa PNP. So in practical situation ng Mr. Chairman, yun yung medyo mahirap pag isang card lang. Unlike sa firearms registration, if you want to donate your 2 firearms, left with you is 3. If you have 5 firearms, walang problema. Kasi sa records, natatanggal lang naman yung 2, but still you have the 3 firearms registration for your 3 gun. Ang problema sa LTOP. So yun yung first, Mr. Chairman. Second, tama din po, Mr. Chairman, na we will wait for 1 week ba? 1 week for the submission of the comment of the PNP. Tama ba, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that's on record.
Yeah. Tama din siguro, Mr. Chairman, because we also give the new leadership of the PNP, the new PNP chief, to have his own comment on the bill at hand, Mr. Chairman. And 1 week is, mabilis na naman yan, di ba? Saka habulin na lang natin, after 1 week, ma-approve natin, then may salang na natin for second reading and finally third reading sa plenary. We still have 2 weeks to go, no? Before adjournment. So, no, 3 weeks to go before adjournment. Now, Mr. Chairman, ang ano ko lang, yung isang observation ko lang, medyo mabagal. No, mabagal talaga yung ano ngayon, yung releasing of the firearms registration, the permit to carry, and the LTOP. Of course, we understand because of the pandemic. Though may mga karaban na ginagawa in the provinces, but still medyo mabagal nga, no? Unless you travel from the province going to Metro Manila to NCR, then you apply personally diretso sa krami. But still, of course, we understand the situation, pero baka pwedeng magawan pa ng magandang paraan na mabilis yung pagproseso. And Chairman, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the PNP under the previous administration leadership of General Rizal, and of course to the FEU for acting on my request with regards to my firearms registration and PTC. And but of course, I have still 1 pending application, no, until now hindi pa na-release. But still, I really appreciate the effort that being made by the PNP leadership, Mr. Chairman. So that's all, Mr. Chairman. And one last para, Mr. Chairman. Yung issue about the reservists and retirees, Mr. Chairman. Ako personally, to be safe, na talagang masiguro natin na yung point na that was raised by DS, our Deputy Speaker, Ungab. I think, Mr. Chairman, if it is possible, we'll just put it in one provision on the issue about the retirees and processing of PTCs, firearms registration, and LTAP of the of the retirees and the reservists, Mr. Chairman. Actually naman, kahit isang provision lang para sigurado tayo na we will not wait for the IRR. Baka mamaya alam naman natin, no? Unless in general terms lang, isang provision para masiguro natin that the concern that was raised by Deputy Speaker Ongab will be taken, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anyway, Minority Leader, as to the last issue that you raised regarding the reservist, the PNP guaranteed that they will just include it in the IRR, and I think the problem is already solved. No need for us to put it as an additional proviso in our substitute bill. But if the Minority Leader wishes to include it as an additional proviso in our substitute bill, then by all means, please manifest for the inclusion.
For as long as the PNP leadership committed with regards to the issue, wala akong problema doon, Mr. Chairman. In fact, in the drafting of the IRR, siguro naman yung oversight natin, dapat nandun lang para just make sure that the concern that was raised by the Deputy Speaker Ongab will be taken doon sa IRR, Mr. Chairman. I yield to the opinion and position of the Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Minority Leader. Now, may the PNP please, of course, the concern of our Minority Leader is with regard to the updating of the details of the firearms licenses issued to a particular person. Like for example, if additional purchases or disposition of certain firearms, how can you reflect it to the card or the document that will be issued? So parang kumbaga, limbawa nagbenta ako ng firearms, automatic kailangan bang iparehistro kaagad yon na para mawala doon sa list of firearms that a particular person owns? Or kung may bagong binili, kailangan bang iparehistro din, isabay din, ihabol doon sa card na yon, or mag-i-issue ng temporary license which will be reconciled later on pag nag-file ng renewal. So these are things which I think has to be addressed also kung paano. Okay. So meron ba kayong what can you say about this the PNP? May please respond.
Mr. Chair, with regards to the concern of the good congressman, sir, we believe, sir, we can tackle that during the crafting of the IRR. We can consider yung mga concern, sir. As regards naman po, sir, sa yung concern niya dun sa renewal of firearms registration, for the information of the committee, sir, the Civil Security Group already decentralized the processing of these firearm registration to the different regions. We have the regional civil security units. Since the second quarter, sir, meron na po tayong mga printers dito sa mga opisina nito. They can process yung mga renewals of firearm registration, even the renewals of LTAP, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Clear na yan. Okay. The Honorable Teves. Honorable Teves is recognized.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anyway, kung hindi nila kaya yung single document, no? Payag na lang ako, hindi na single document para lang matapos na to. Huwag na single document kung mahihirapan tayo, but sana lang ma-okay na tayo dun sa 5 to 10 years. No hassle in between. Kahit marami pang ID, okay na lang para lang matapos na. Because I was gonna propose a smart card, but it might take long and be too expensive. but binabayaran naman to ng nag-apply, okay lang sana yung smart card. Yung para mag-credit card, may chip siya. But that's just an option to reconcile what the minority leader and the other concerns are. Pag smart card kasi madaling i-amend kung may amendments, di ba? But if not, I'll give that compromise again. So ang dami ko nang binigay na compromise. Sana naman pumayag na sila dun sa ano. Hindi naman pwedeng tayo lang magbigay lahat. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Teka, baka naman pwede General Mitra and General Bedia. Baka pwede naman makuha na natin yung answer ni Chief PNP na okay na yung proposal ni DS Tebes para ma-approve na natin to ngayon. Kasi medyo talagang kukulangin kami sa oras. Before we proceed, I would like to recognize also the Congresswoman Quaresma, who is also one of the principal authors of this bill. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Please go ahead, PNP, General Bedia or General Mitra.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair. After this, sir, mag-request po kami ng appointment with the Chief PNP at ipapaabot po namin yung concern ng Committee on Public Order.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, resolve na yung number of cards. Resolve na rin natin yung validity period. Okay, let's go now to the other issues. Okay, there was a proposal that those mentioned as the persons who are considered as in imminent danger be exempt already from the requirement of a threat assessment certificate. What can you say about that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, about the threat assessment, yung particular group, sir, na exempted from the threat assessment, sir. Sir, yes. Napansin ko po dito, wala po yung elected officials.
Wala nga eh. Parang unfair naman yun. Hello, ilagay natin na yung mga elected officials kasi elected na din sila ng mga tao. I think they also have the privilege to be exempt from security threat assessment certificate. No? Parang automatic naman yun pagka elected official dito sa Pilipinas, lalo na sa amin sa Masbate. Huwag nyo nang hanapan ng threat assessment. Parati kaming may threat. So I think this is also a very valid observation, no? And so kung po pwede na i-exempt na natin sila from the threat assessment certificate kasi they are considered already as persons in imminent danger in accordance with the law, no? Parang redundant na yung threat assessment certificate. Then what about those who are regular members of the gun club who are participating in mga competitions? Kailangan po ba sila ng threat assessment certificates?
Actually, sir, Mr. Chair, ang aming concern dito yung mga tao na hindi naman na member ng club and then ang representation niya is isa siyang shooter. Yun, sir, ang ating yung abuser, ang aming concern dito, sir, sa kung i-exempt natin ang isang particular group just like the shooter. So I believe, sir, we need another safety measures para hindi maabuso, sir, yung ng this particular group, sir. Kasi madali po mag-represent I'm a shooter. How can we now determine if this person is really a shooter or not?
Okay, can we get also the side of the organizations of the sports shooting?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Joselito Lito Nuevo is recognized. You are representing
The Philippine Shooters and Hunters Confederation po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. For the information of the body, yung mga PNP kwa natin, sir, alam nila na nasa LTOP natin, there are types of LTOP na nandun po ang another type of license is sports shooter. Nakalagay po doon. So, nag-a-apply po yung mga shooter for another type of license which is as a sport shooter. Nakalagay po, may extra fees po yun para doon. So, sa issue na baka maabuso, I don't think it will happen kasi for you to become to apply for a sport shooter status, meron pong certification galing sa gun club na accredited and current. Kung wala pong certification from the gun club president, so hindi po siya makakapag-apply ng status na sport shooter. So sa madaling salita, hindi po basta-basta magkakaano ng shooter na sport shooter siya. There are several shooters, there are several gun owners, but there are only a few sport shooter. Kasi po, stringent din po yung process. Ang mga requirements po, marami din pong requirements for you to get the status as a sport shooter. Isa na nga po doon is a certification from a current gun club president. Kailangan po yung gun club na yun, active and hindi lang po certification ng presidente, kailangan the president can show proof that that individual has been participating in shooting activities. Hindi po pwede kasi ina-attach po yun doon sa application ang mga match results for the different recent matches conducted in their areas. Kung wala po yun, hindi ma-invalidate po yung certification ng presidente. So sa point na sa issue na baka ma-abuse, I think it could not be possible. So going back po dun sa threat assessment, meron na po kasi kaming na-submit na previously yung position paper, yung PSMOC, on behalf of our members, we were proposing, instead of a threat assessment, we're going to be an endorsement or a clearance coming from the three major national shooting organizations, which is the PNSA, the PPSA, and of course yung sa amin sa PSMOC. So yun po, I think I can answer and clarify yung issue, baka ma-abuse. I think with those steps that needs to be taken, yung stringent talaga process, I don't think an abuse will be possible. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Okay, what can the PNP say about this position?
Mr. Chair, if there is a system or a procedure to determine if a certain individual is really a shooter, I believe, sir, we can support the PNP can support the proposal.
Okay. So, COMSEC, please take note, that they can already be included as an additional proviso, to be exempt also from the threat assessment certification of the PNP, provided that they comply with certain requirements by the PNP, which will be later on provided under the IRR.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, is there anything that we need
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Honorable Tebes.
Yung sa elected official, meron na akong maliit na request, Dagdag na natin yung direct family members because normally our direct family members are automatically under threat. As we are elected officials, hindi that I'm not being biased as being an elected official, but alam naman ng lahat, even that our direct family members are automatically under of our being elected officials. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Regarding this issue, is the PNP amenable to it? Is there a problem regarding this proposal?
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Chair, mahina po yung signal. Hindi ko po nakuha yung concern ng Congressman Tebes.
Yung sa ano kasi sa exemption ng elected officials from the threat assessment certificate, can it also include the members of the immediate family of elected officials? Yung immediate family members lang ng elected official, can they also be included as exempted from the threat assessment certificate if they also wanted to apply for a license to own and possess?
Mr. Chair, we believe we have to concentrate first on the principal, sir.
Okay. I think that Your Honor, Honorable Arnie Tebes, can we just make this one at a time? Like if the elected official is already included in the exemption, can we just hold on muna with that para may tapos lang natin ito later on?
No problem, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, DS.
No problem.
Okay. So I think everything, all the issues have already been discussed and settled. No, subject to style. No, we're just actually awaiting for the response of the Chief PNP as regards to the periodic conduct of the neuropsychiatric exam and the drug testing requirement. So other than that, parang wala na naman tayong problema. Comsec, is there any other issue that we need to discuss?
That's all, Your Honor.
Or otherwise, if later on the Chief PNP would allow us, no, to do away with the periodic neuropsychiatric and drug testing requirement, then perhaps we can approve this in principle already. Any member may wish to comment on my proposal to approve the substitute bill with all the amendments that we have discussed today, and unless the Chief PNP would come up with a contrary opinion, which we need to again discuss on another hearing. But if the response of the Chief PNP or the PNP, the whole PNP for that matter, is favorable or is not in contrary to our substitute bill, then we can proceed already with the calendar of this particular bill in the plenary. Okay ba sa inyo yon? I-approve na natin ito ngayon by principle, approve ang substitute bill, and of course the committee report embodying the bill.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Congressman is recognized.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with your recommendation, Mr. Chair. Ang hirap kasi nito papalit-palit ng Chief PNP. Baka just wala nang mangyayari sa atin if all the time hinihintay natin yung opinion or recommendation ng PNP. So I agree with your recommendation, Mr. Chair. Kagaya nung bill namin, House bill namin nila Congressman Tebes, ang tagal na niyan. It's taking us so long. Bakit? Dahil papalit-palit ang Chief PNP. So I think the committee must have to already make a move to approve all these House bills referred to the Committee on the Peace and Order. Mr. Chair, that's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So ganito na lang, no? PNP, no? We will approve the substitute bill and the corresponding committee report, but subject to the response of the PNP. Because if your response will be in contrary to our to the provisions of the substitute bill, then we will conduct another hearing just to resolve the issue. Are you okay with that? Kasi kung wala problema, sumabi kayo later on na sige, okay na kami doon sa wala nang periodic neuro exam. Then approve na ito para may calendar na namin for plenary. PNP.
Mr. Chair, we are amenable to that, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So basta hintayin pa rin namin yung yung reply nyo. But in case na wala naman kayong problema doon sa
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Teka muna, tapusin ko muna. Na kung wala namang conflict doon sa position ninyo at saka dito sa mga provisions ng substitute bill, then we will proceed already with the calendar of this particular bill in plenary, for plenary debate. So para ma-shorten lang natin yung period actually para wala nang next hearing. So okay na kayo diyan, okay na kayo ng natin. No. Agreement natin. So Honorable Tevez is recognized.
I move
Honorable
for
Tevez.
the approval of this bill, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of this substitute bill. So move.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair. I second the motion.
Okay. There has been a move duly seconded that the substitute bill is hereby approved. So, Comsec, can we proceed with the approval of the committee report?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, is there anybody or what to move for the approval of the committee report?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is hereby approved. Thank you very much, members of this honorable committee, for your support and attendance. Thank you very much. Thank you very much din sa ating mga guests, and our resource persons. Thank you very much, General Abidia, General Mitra and company. Okay. Is there any other matter, Comsec? Comsec?
Your Honor, for the co-authorship, sir.
Would like to manifest for authorship. I think there is none. Siguro doon na lang sa plenary. Yung iba na lang mag-manifest ng kanilang co-authorship.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Vice Chair.
Pasama na lang lahat yung present today as co-authors.
Okay, take note, Comsec. All members present shall be made co-author of this substitute bill.
Yes, sir.
Okay, to the final motion. Wala na bang mag-move for the adjournment?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, DS.
I second, Chairman. Chairman.
Duly seconded to adjourn this particular committee hearing. This committee hearing is hereby adjourned. Thank you lahat sa inyo lahat. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Tapos na rin natin.